Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We're just having a quick check because our poor sound guy is having. We're all good. Everything's moving along. Fantastic. Welcome everyone to today on episode 5. I think we're at now, aren't we?
I think 5.
I think we're at 5. It's about 6 weeks. Blimey, it's going insane. We're here from the Adventure Dolphin HQ in Pangbourne. It's actually turned out to be a lovely day in the end. It was a bit funny. How are you doing, Tom? You alright?
I'm doing well, yeah.
Been up to much?
Not particularly. Been making use of the 6 people meeting rule, and it's been my mum's birthday midweek, so.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Anything special number or?
No, and I wouldn't want to say on the screen, she'll get angry with me.
He's learning. He's learned that wrong already.
So yeah, it's been quite a good week, to be honest.
Brilliant, fantastic. One of the things, as always, as I believe it's my side, if I've got this right, is the it's that side. I've got the social media buttons, you get that side, right. Of course, is utilise the chat. We are live. Any questions, anything you'd like to talk about, just use the chat to the side. As always, hello James, it's good that you could join us today. Anyone else out there, come say hi. How are you doing, James? Are you okay? Anyway,
Just wait the 15 seconds.
hopefully the 15 seconds and then he replies.
Yeah.
We'll find out in a bit. So today we're going to talk about something slightly different from home stuff, and that's trying to look at where we can go forward with equipment and what we should be looking at, etc. Fantastic. James has replied straight off. I like it. It's fantastic. It's good to hear that you're good, man.
It's our number 1 fan, I think.
No, it's good to know that people are actually. Are some of these actually useful to you, James? That's one of the other things. It'd be great to have some feedback of if these little podcast style videos are useful to you guys out there.
Yeah.
So we were about equipment, and as you can see, we've literally grabbed equipment from some of the stores and
the boots from Jake's feet.
Yeah, we managed to find Jake.
Yeah.
Steal his shoes.
Yeah. So should we start and look at what we got here?
Yeah, I think the first thing we start off is the bag.
If you want to go hard. There you go.
Fantastic. Especially when you're walking. I know this is different if you're paddling, but even when you're paddling, a decent bag. Not a little Nike one that goes on your rucksack and you can
not one of these.
Yeah, that's alright if you're going to put a cup of Raymac and a bottle of water or two in there. But this is basically the crux of a walking expedition. This is what is your house in your survival system. Do you want to talk about what's decent about baggy features that make these bags really good?
For me, when I'm looking for a bag, or when I was looking for a bag, I found that the straps and the back pad for me were the most important part. Really, carrying 15 kilograms, probably at a max, is what you want to be carrying in one of these. But say you're carrying 15 to 17 at a very maximum weight on these, you want these to be nice and padded. So you see you've got big straps which are much more padded than what you'd normally have, and they've also got adjustability. So I don't know how this one adjusts because I'm insanely professional, but they just adjust like that for you to adjust to your body type. So I've got quite a small torso, so I was always having my bag nice and tight down like that. So that's what I found I liked about mine. Then you've also got your large compartment. So you've got one big compartment in the top, and you've also got access from down the bottom. So mainly I'll put my sleeping bag down at the bottom because it's easy access and you can get straight into it.
I agree with you. These are. This one's one of our slightly bigger ones we have at the centre. It's a 6510. I would personally not say anything below 65 litres because you need to get your kit in here. We have this every year. We have people coming with kit on the outside. That's really, some of it you can get away with, but I'd really advise not to because you can lose it primarily or damage it.
Yeah, just really with keeping stuff on the outside, you really want to keep it to, if you do have one of the less compact roll mats, maybe one of them.
Maybe
if
you
can't keep it inside the bag, but again, I've destroyed one of them by walking through a fully path with one of them on through here, and it's just caught the side and it just doesn't hold air anymore. And then the other thing on the outside, if you've got the mesh pockets, the water bottles
Maybe
in there,
a water bottle in there,
because that
yeah.
makes it nice and easy to grab. But apart from that, really trying to keep everything nice and concise in one of these
Right, I agree with
is
you.
key. Yeah, if you're looking at getting one, the other thing I'd say to look out for is trying to get some dry bags. Because what I like to do is, say you've got your tent here, in this shape it doesn't fit very nicely inside, so you can have it like this running up your back. But if you've then got your sleeping bag at the bottom, you're moving it to there, and then you've got the weight quite high. So what I like to do is separate the fly sheet in the inside in 2 separate dry bags. That means it halves the size, so you can fit 1 and 2 around and have the poles running up the back.
Yeah, that's an idea.
But also, if you imagine you've just gone through a really heavy rainstorm or rain during the night, and your fly sheet has got damaged, or not damaged, it's got wet, you don't want your inside one to get wet as well. So if you put them together, it like this, the inside can get wet, and then you can not have a very good night the next night.
No, I absolutely agree with you. Where dry bags are concerned, also, they're not too expensive. However, especially on the DofE setting, sometimes going out there and you don't want to spend a lot, especially if you're at bronze level. So using something like bin bag liners is quite a good one.
Yeah.
So the way I did especially my bronze, I had one bin bag liner to contain everything, then everything else separated in individual bags. It is protection at the end of the day. Sleeping in a wet sleeping bag, I've done it, it's not nice. Another thing with these bags is learn all the features you've got on them. All these straps, although there's a lot of them, all have a particular function, all adjust something particular. This one, there's also got a rain hood in. That's also always a good feature. Gives the bag a little bit more protection.
But don't rely on it.
Yeah, don't always rely on it. Also, hip pads, they are different. That you have what's known as male bags and female bags. That the reason for that is the hips are different places. So it's that stone. These always change. This one's just a flick in and flick out. However, most of them are now buckles, but Berghaus seem to like that. I don't know why.
It's a bit stronger.
Sternum straps is a thing. One thing I would say is, if you are buying your own bag, fantastic. I've had mine. I brought an Osprey. I can't remember which version of Osprey it was, but it's been with me now, I think, over 12 years. They do last a long, long time if you look after them.
It's very one of bronze. And it's lasted me all the way through, and you wouldn't tell that I'd used it.
But one thing I would do is go to an outdoor store, somewhere like Cotswolds, go outdoors, get it fitted for you. They have people that work there in the industry, so they will fit the bag to you, and you can figure out and then see what it feels like to you. Then if you want, you can always say no, walk away, and then find a cheaper one online. But go into the stores, try them out. I say this, it's COVID.
Well, they are saying that retail stores can open from the 15th.
It's the 15th of June, but we'll see how that goes. If they might change it, they might not. But the main thing is give the bags a try, see how you fit and feel on yourselves. Pretty much, I think that's it with bags. Same goes with if you were going canoeing or kayaking expedition. You won't have something like this. It's not designed. You'll have a dry bag. The top of it folds over. It's to contain the water even better. Getting something with straps on them is I can't say enough. It is beautiful, because at the end of the day, when you are paddling down the water,
still might have to portage.
And portage. I always go with the view of where am I always going to need a portage? Where it comes down to canoeing. If you go with the view that you're going to portage every lock, you can't go wrong. With these bags, when you're out canoeing, the other thing I'll say is get like a 75, if you can get 75 or 100 litre dry bag. We do in the centre have those, so we do hire them out. However, get yourself a little dry bag, and then you put in your stuff you need on that day. So if you're doing, let's say, a vlog, out on the water. You've got your camera in there, your sandwiches, so you don't have to keep going in and out your bag. Another thing with these is rubbish. Think about where you're putting your rubbish. I learnt a trick, and that's you have these 2 massive side pockets. Carry your rubbish in one of your side pockets. It's easy, it's warm. You don't want to make a lot of rubbish, so put them in there. And if you know that all your rubbish and whatever you're eating is going into that pocket,
you should also line one of them with a carrier bag or something like that, just to keep your bag nice if it's your own, or do us a favour and keep ours nice. The other thing is, with that, you remember to take it out again, because as a leader it's not great fun to be picking out random presents after a trip's gone out. So
we have had some good ones. We've had, I think,
some
lip balm
and
came
lip
in. It's mad. It's absolutely insane what we get. But when you go out on a DofE trip, always go with the view of there are no bins. So what you carry in is what you're carrying out. That's the way however I go on any hiking trips, I will do that. I go with that view. So if I do get to a campsite and the campsite go, we've got bin facilities, perfect. Not all campsites have bin facilities. So be prepared for that. You be prepared to take everything out with you. So that was really your rucksacks.
I think with saying that the shops are opening soon, I think the next thing that we should talk about is the boots.
That's my thinking. I was thinking the next, most important thing when you're walking.
So with boots, as saying the shops are opening soon, possibly your likes of Blacks, Cotswolds, Go Outdoors, all opening soon. So if you don't have a pair of boots, if you can get into a shop and try them on, because buying things over the internet where you're going to wear them for long periods of time isn't great. So if you can get into a shop, try on a few pairs if you can when they open, because when you go walking at the moment, if you take your walking boots with you and wear them in a bit, it could be a really good time to get out and break them in, because when you first get a boot they can be quite hard, quite brittle, and they can give you blisters. So if you take a boot out for the first time on an expedition, you can expect to get blisters. Even just walking in them like once a week or something during lockdown, when your mum asks you to go out for a walk, great opportunity to break in a pair of boots.
That's absolutely brilliant. One thing I would say is these have definitely been worn for a long time. Jake, you might need some new walking boot shoes.
3 pairs at home.
Oh, okay, that's fine then.
They're the old ones.
These are your old ones, right? One thing is, of course, walking boots, hiking boots, mountain boots. They can go from anything from 30 quid to nearly thousands, hundreds into it is ridiculous. So we know at bronze, especially where you're still growing, if you're at that age and you're lucky to still have growth spurts, we know your feet will change, so there's no point spending out for £200-300 for a pair of boots. So you don't have to go expensive. The main things of features is the grip on the sole, because it's no use falling down. These have no grip on them, but this was last minute when we went, someone's wearing boots, let's nick them.
I was saved multiple times on my gold practice when it was wet, when I'd made a bad placement of my feet and should have fallen over, but I had really grippy boots. It is a good idea.
It helps. And also with falling over is why we say boots is this bit here, it's the ankle. It gives support to your ankle. You've got to remember we're not designed as humans to carry lumps of weight on our back over terrain like that, so your ankles are quite easy to go. So a boot like this is brilliant. Converses are not, because if you've ever worn Converses, it is literally just a bit of fabric. Your ankle will still pop. So I know there was an incident of a trip I was on and the student fell over and severely sprained and bruised. It was pink, purple and yellow. It was great colours. However, the nurse clearly went straight off the bat and went, if it wasn't for the fact they were wearing a proper boot, it would have been
10 times worse.
We're talking bones coming out of areas they shouldn't be coming out of. So these are very, very important. I can't say enough. Same goes again with canoeing and kayaking to an extent. Although you are sat in a canoe, you are getting out of canoe, you are going to be then portaging your canoe around some of the locks. So although when you're in your boat you might have wet shoes on, which is absolutely fine, maybe it's worth having a spare set of shoes that you slip on that gives you that little bit of support. I know with my wet shoes, they come above my ankle because it then gives you that little bit, they're not as rigid as these, but it gives me that little bit of support that I feel a little bit safer as coming out on the bank side. I don't feel like I'm going to bust my ankle. So I think these are pretty much decent on the shoes. I've had enough of smelling them this close, so I'm going to throw them that way. Hey, he's catching this. This is great. Cool.
Just put them back on.
Should we say cooking? Because I like food. Food is great. We like eating. Keeps us alive, and sometimes it's tasty.
Next to us we got the Trangier, so you'll probably be familiar with these. We did do some cooking and stuff before you went, so won't go into too much detail on using them or anything like that. But the Trangiers are a good option. They're quite heavy in my view, but they are solid and they do stay nice and neat in your bag. One thing for me with Trangiers that's good is keeping stuff inside of them. So when you're actually cooking on an expedition, you don't want to spend ages digging through your bag to find your oil or whatever. You want to keep all of your cooking stuff and your matches all inside of here, because then you open it up, you get it all set up, and it's all there ready to go. So that for me is the main thing about Trangiers when using them, because other than that they're quite self-explanatory.
They're completely and utterly easy. We stock Trangiers and we can hire you out Trangiers. There are other stoves we can let you use or you can bring in. However, if you're wanting to use a stove you have at home, you need to bring it in to have it checked by the leaders prior to the trip to be given the all clear. Because there are certain stoves we just won't let, like petrol stoves for example. We won't let on DofE. I wouldn't let petrol stoves around some of the leaders around the centre, never alone the students. So there's nothing stopping them having a play. One day we might have a play with different stoves.
For me, I definitely advise you to have a look at what you could get. So there are some ones that are just, if you pass me the inside of that, there are some that you can get that are just like this but have some feet. So one thing about Trangiers is this is quite powerful, so you can end up burning stuff on quite easily, which I've definitely had experience with. So you can get ones that are just one of them that sits on the grass or sits on the top of the gas bottle.
I would check with your leaders beforehand, because some centres and even here we will have to have what's known as a risk assessment. Because of that, we don't not leaders. For participants, I wouldn't say getting one on top of your gas bottle is a clever idea. You have centre of gravity. However, when you go into like gold, it's then more clever. Going bronze, something like this is perfect. Going to gold, going more like you say like something like I can't say it. Your jet boils, your MSA, that one, the rocket, pocket rocket.
And then you've got the fire one that Coleman's do.
You mentioned Coleman's. Sorry, we don't endorse any brands. It's whatever you feel comfortable with using.
There's all sorts. You can also get the likes of what I did for my silver and gold. Is I had a twig stove, brand new solar stove. So you can get these ones that mean that you don't have to worry about gas. You don't have. It's basically just like a can that you put twigs in and they burn very efficiently. So it's always worth having a look around. So in my experience, this was a lot less heavy than the Trangiers. Bit less like concise in my bag, but it was lighter because it was made mostly air. It was made out of thin stainless steel. So and I could also use it for things like boiling water for the night because I wasn't worried about gas. So I boiled water for the night, put it in a bottle and put it in my sleeping bag before I got in, which made it quite nice. And also the fact that it was just a contained but open fire meant that we could toast marshmallows, which was quite funny when you watched all the other groups that were trying to do them on the Trangiers, so it was quite a nice
Yeah.
little stove.
Main thing with these, especially Trangiers, is remembering some things about your stoves as well. Going back quickly to where you said about getting your own stove, absolutely fine. If you want your own stove, you can have your own stove, but I wouldn't go out to buy one to do the DofE without checking with a leader first.
Yeah.
To make sure that at your level they're happy for you to use it. Okay.
Yeah.
With maintenance on these things, your main thing is cleaning them.
Yeah.
One trick I swear by is if you've got a sooty pan at the bottom, it's not so bad with gas. It does happen, but if you're used to using what was known as MEFs, we don't use them around here anymore. However, the good old MEF burners, when they got sooty, it was once you've got it off the pan, it was scraping it in the grass. It took a lot of that soot off.
Yeah.
Make your life easier. Most pans, especially Trangia pans, unless you're really, really splashing out and you're really posh, are non-stick. So
non-stick.
They are not non-stick.
Yeah, they're not non-stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's too many nons, too many negatives in that sentence. So,
So
be aware of that.
yeah, one thing with the Trangiers and stoves in general is just know their limits. You're not on a fancy induction hob or a gas hob at home. Like, you can do pancakes, they just are a bit of a watch over job.
I have seen people do it out of the mix before.
Yeah.
Somehow.
So, like, if you want to do frying stuff, a Trangier is probably not your best option, because it's a big long way between when you get it set up and when you have the frying pan lid style thing, when you've got that set up. The other thing is, they are very vicious, so just think about, like, you're not going to be cooking like your scrambled eggs in them and things like that. Just be aware of that. So boiling the bag meals, they're ideal for, because they get hot very quick and you can just leave them going not unwatched, but you can basically just sit next to them and make sure you don't burn anything. Whereas your likes of the sitting on the grass ones that are just like the inside burners, they're a bit more delicate and can do a bit more fancy stuff with the frying side.
I've seen steak, peas, and potatoes been done on this before. I'm not kidding you. Someone did it on MEFs as well. To the exact, so you knew where to mark it with the fuel.
Yeah.
See, the one reason why I'm here with Tom is Tom's great with ideas, and then I have to stand here like the big old man and do the interjection. Check. With the DofE, boiling the bag meals, I love them personally, because I did especially when I was in the Swiss Alps. It was easy. I didn't have to wash up. Check with your leader, and when you have your assessor, double check about boiling the bag meals. It's a very content that, depending on what centre you're at, depending who your leader is, it's one of those debatable subjects. Some people say it's not proper cooking, some people say otherwise. So always double check. That's why here we always ask you for your meal plans of what you're doing, so we know you're eating. You guys know about nutrition, and that you guys are actively understanding that you have to eat more calories than normal and look after each other. But yeah, especially with that, it's another thing we can do is check if you're doing boiling the bag meals. Always make sure your leaders say that's fine. It's one of those many rules that it changes different places, but there's no harm in asking.
We also know the assessors, or when I say we, I mean Don knows the assessors. So
Most of them.
He can tell you which ones will take a shine to you cooking something a bit more than just boiling the bag, or which ones will go boiled stuff in the bag and get all annoyed about it. So
the other thing I would say is where it comes down to when I did my gold, they were long days for myself. So cooking was a major thing. But when bronze was, there was a lot of time on campsite. Yeah. So cooking was much more having a play with it, being more adventurous, trying different things. If you want, we'll do one episode where we will try and cook something. I'll try and teach Tom to cook pizza pockets. Have you ever done pizza pocket?
I've done Trangia burritos, but not pizza pockets.
Okay, so pizza pocket is basically dough, making it into like a ball, and then all the pizza toppings is inside, and we cook it. So we can teach you guys that. We'll do that one of our episodes. We'll get out and we'll get the Trangia out. We might even do it on the balcony and have a different view, showing off.
Yeah.
So that might be in another episode. It's just showing you guys some tricks and tips. So always stay tuned. Always keep an eye on what we're doing because it changes every day. Yeah. The last bit of equipment we're going to talk about today is this thing. This big, dirty. It's not actually heavy thing.
They get better every year. So with tents, this Scarfell 300. So that means it should fit 3 people, but we all know that's 2.
It will fit 3 if you're doing severe backpacking. If you're going into a bag. If you're going into your mountains, you can get 3 in there. But I wouldn't. If you're just having a nice day, I would go 2.
So with these, they're always quite cheap on the amount of people they say that you can fit in. So if it's 3, take it as a 2. So with these, as you can see, this one's quite nicely packed, which it was after I repacked it today. So when you do bring a tent, you do want to try and keep it concise. So as I was saying to Dom earlier before we started streaming, I used to like keeping mine in separate dry bags. So I'd keep the outer in one and the inner in another, because there's nothing worse than getting in a tent where the inside fly sheet is completely soaked. I
was the opposite. I was just careful when I put my tent down so the inside didn't get soaked when I packed it.
I was lazy. I like to get up at 7 o'clock and be out by 8, so it was all quick and nice. I didn't have to daintily pack anything. So with that, you can also fit it into your bag quite nicely, because if you can imagine this, it takes up quite a lot of your bag, and this way it's just not going to go in your bag. So when you have 2 dry bags, you can fit it in. It's quite nice and concise. You can just stuff it in, just stuff the outer in, rather than this where you'd have to roll it to get a nice fit in the bag.
There's always upsides and downsides with whatever you choose. Because when I go hiking now, I have a smaller than that. The whole thing is in a bag. It's and it just fits in. You need all your stuff inside your bag. It's inside your rucksack. It's a layer of protection on inside your dry bag. One thing that is very much useful that we always have this debate with every single group is it's teamwork. It's all about your teamwork. So it is dividing the group equipment with each other. So with the bigger tents, so we have bigger tents. I think Tangos are definitely bigger.
Yeah, you can get ones that weigh 3 kilograms.
Yeah, these are nice and light. However, where it comes into bigger equipment, you need to be actively sharing it. If one person is taking a tent and the Trangia and the gas and it's not team, there's no teamwork going on there.
The thing for me with tents and Trangias is the tent does tend to be a bit bigger and a bit more heavy. So if you're going to take the Trangia, I'd often say that the person that's taking the Trangia, if you're of equal size and weight and strength and capability, I'd often suggest that the person that takes the tent wouldn't take poles or pegs, and would sort of try and equal out the weight of the Trangia and the tent, because otherwise the person that's got the tent is getting a bit of a raw deal.
If you want to be clever, and I didn't officially say this, if you're moving bits about, so someone's taking something on the first day and then someone else takes it on the second day, opt in for the first day for the outer. It's lighter than the rest of the trip. It gets heavier, so always pick, if you've got the outer and you're changing
around,
a
fight now.
Go for the first
We're going
day.
to take out groups and then take the
I'm just, I'm out here to help you guys, so,
So yeah, with tents, I think the centre's got quite good ones now. So it'd probably be the last bit of kit I'd suggest you buy if you're going out to buy kit.
Yes, it's one of those things. If you've got one that you like using, you can use the centre. We can give you dry bags, rucksack, or dry bags for canoeing at the moment. We are looking at maybe eventually getting smaller ones, but that's not at the moment. There are rucksacks, there are tents, there are Trangias. There's walking poles we even have for hiring groups or anyone that under a risk assessment will require them. Therefore, there's a nominal fee for hiring. However, that will be made clear nearer to the time. The other thing is roll mats. You can go for anything from an exercise mat, which is just a bit of foam.
Awful, don't do it.
For bronze, it's not the end of the day. It's for £5.
Yeah, it's £1.95 quid.
However, you can then go up. It's the same with anything in this business. You can go up into the fat hundreds for a roll mat.
Yeah, you can.
I wouldn't advise it.
Your Thermarest ones will go into the 200, 300 mark.
So having a roll mat which self-inflates.
You can
nice.
You can get them from like Go Outdoors or Cotswolds for
or if you're really lucky, Lidl seems to all of a sudden Lidl do a smashing deal out of nowhere.
Yeah, so you're looking at 20 to 30 pounds, and they'll fold in half and then roll up, so they'll be sort of this sort of size.
Mm-hmm.
So for me it's a really good investment.
Yeah, I agree with you.
If I were to buy equipment, I'd be looking at. Well, first you've got to buy your own boots because we don't.
Yeah, boots, definitely boots.
But boots straight away, and then for me, you're then looking at bag or roll mat. Then you're looking at bag or if you like your cooking, look at a different method of cooking for weight. But the Trangier is again a good idea.
Also, the Trangier is pretty good if you're in a group of 3. I wouldn't cook on a Trangier more than 3 people. Because you start having a queue and it's weird. Roll mats is a definitely decent one. You've got your first aid kits, which we don't provide. You guys need to get yourself and sort out, but that comes under group and thing because we don't need 77 bandages on the trip. You only need a couple, so that's where you need to go talking.
A lot of people that I know have gone out and bought the what they call the hydration packs.
The hydration bladders and the camelbacks. Yes.
For me, they seem a bit over the top for bronze, silver, or gold.
They are lovely.
They're amazing.
I had mine for gold, man.
For me, I would get other stuff first.
For what they're worth. If you like going out and about and you like walking, they're brilliant. One thing is a lot of people find with them is they drink a lot more, which is great. The only issue with drinking a lot more is they kind of forget because it's in your back, it's hidden, how much they've drunk. So all of a sudden they run out. So the good thing with it is that I like it, so I can walk down the woods and it's just sipping away when I want to. I don't have to stop to find a bottle. One of the things I have got was I've got Camelback, which is 2 litre one, is they give you a clip, which is a fantastic idea to put on to hold your thing until you want to use a compass. Because of course it's a magnet and a compass.
Oh, okay.
So that's one thing to keep in mind of is I wouldn't advise putting anything like those accessories on because you are using compasses, you are doing map work. Another thing that you might want to look into is compasses. We do help give you compasses, but for what was it, 20 quid? It's
ours also get hired out to groups of all abilities. So people might put magnets or their phones next to them, so sometimes you can get out and find they're a bit off and things like that. So if you've
not that off at the moment because most of them are new.
When I was going on my DofE, I sort of looked out for deals if I was going into Sports Direct or something like that, or Go Outdoors. If I saw one on offer, I'd pick one up for a £5. So if you can pick one up for a £5, I then lost mine, so it saved me a lot of money on the deposit, which Don wasn't happy about. But so like things like that, if you look out for good deals on things, you can pick up nice roll mats and things for 20 quid. And like if you're in bronze now and you think I've got my mindset on going for gold, I'd definitely advise buying a bag for one.
Well, I've used my bag for everything. I use it. I've used it for when I'm going off on holiday. I've used it when I've been on climbing trips because it's just so easy. I've used it for festivals and stuff like that.
Like my brother and sister have used them when going to uni. So they're one of the best things that you can buy along with the roll mats. So
I wouldn't advise buying a decent tent for festival though.
No, please don't. The scenes that I've seen at some of the festivals is a bit. Would not want to take any of my tents there, but so if you are at bronze level now and have got your mindset on going for gold, then boots you you're at the age at the moment where your feet are going to grow. So I wouldn't go too expensive on that. But when you're looking at things like bags, and I bought my bag at Bronze, spent a decent amount of money on it, but as I said,
as long as you've got that adjustment.
I've still got my bag to this day. I still love my bag to this day. I've lent it out to 4 or 5 people to do their DofEs and got people saying it was brilliant. And so
thanks for reminding me. One thing I would advise you guys is you always get this one relative who said they did DofE and they did it in the 1980s or whenever.
Yeah.
And they go, I've got my rucksack in the loft. It's nice, however, I would advise against it.
Have a metal frame.
Because the metallic frames is a good one. They're usually heavier, and because they've been sat there doing nothing for however many years, they then have bits of wear and tear. So I would, if you could, go new. If you got like a sibling who's not that much older and they've done it, the DofE, and they've got their own bag, then of course go for it. But that there's always that one family member who's I did DofE back in the 1920s, although it didn't. It's just like ain't worth it. It's your back, it's your pain. One thing I would say about rucksacks as well, because you've just brought me back to it, is ladies. Hip pads. I know a few of my friends because of how the hips lie and everything. There was a bit of rubbing on that. There are different ways you can do it. I know one of my mates was basically putting like tea towels in there to try and just pad it out. One of my mates used actually it was a sanitary towel because it sticks to the skin and it's that barrier for rubbing, so you don't have blisters. Also, buy decent socks. When we're talking about blisters, get decent set of walking socks. They're about £10, about 16 quid a set, 14 to 16 quid a set. However, they last forever and they work. Bridgedale are probably one of the best for that, I would say. If we're not name dropping with this. We're not associated with them. But if you'd like to sponsor us, please do.
Basically, with walking socks, if you go into any Go Outdoors or Cotswolds, if they've got a massive wall of socks, so
and also ask about them.
Get them. Also, they range from thick to quite thin. So if you find that you get sore feet and that sort of thing, you might want to go for something thinner or thicker, depending on what activity you're doing. They are quite a good bit of equipment.
And sandals. I would say bring a set of sandals or trainers that you can fold down that they take up less space. So something like Converses are pretty cool because they pretty much fold up nearly. So when you're on campsite, you can slip into a set of nicer shoes with some socks to run around the campsite
which is quite nice when you get up in the middle of the night to go to the loo and you've got to go all the way over there.
Not go without shoes on. We've had it where pegs have gone through feet and stuff like that. It's not nice. And for something that you would have put on a pair of shoes and got out, there's something there. That then having to go to A&E to have a peg removed, it's worth it. So I think pretty much this is the first time we've actually run over.
Madness.
I know, it's insane. He gets really excited. Every time we say equipment, he's there, he's on it. CJ, it's like having we've got our own director. It's great.
So
he's our producer.
With the DofE, you do get a discount card. So you either have the physical card or you can go on I locked mine in the bin because it's like 2016 runs out. So you can also, if I can find it quickly, if you go to your DofE app on the thing. So Dom's quite jealous of this because
I can't have it.
He can't have it because he's not a participant. But if you go here, you get a DofE card, and you get the likes of that on your phone. So when you go in there, if you do go to Go Outdoors, Black's Millets, Ultimate Outdoors, or T-Stone,
and if you were quick, you've now got his code.
If you were quick, or screenshot or dragged it back and pause, feel free to use it. Get yourself 10% off. But if you go to any of them, one of them gives you it on sale items as well.
Yeah, so at the time when they did it, Blacks did it. So on their sale items, you still got the 10% if you're a student, 15% if you're an assessor or a leader, which was a great thing. Go Outdoors don't. It's only on full priced items. But you then have your discount card anyway. So where it goes to Go Outdoors, let's say you get a tent and it says 120 discount card 80, you would have your discount on that. However, if it was a sale or a flash bargain event or whatever they call them nowadays, you don't get your discount on that. But have a look around. Some stores, and depending where you live, there are some outdoor stores as well, more localized outdoor stores where you go and explain to them that you do DofE. I can't guarantee you Cotswold will do it. However, I've been told by a few of my friends that
Cotswolds do 10% off if you've got a National Trust card or an English Heritage card or National Trust. If you wave a card in their face, they'll give you 10% off.
Or if you go speak to them and say you're doing your DofE, you might find out they do discounts there. But have a shop around. A main thing we want to say is go out, try things, have a feel, see how you think about it. Apart from that, that's it today. We are back next week. We might try. I might have a word with these guys and see if they want to do some cooking. Yeah. We might do a cooking session. It might not be live. It might be a pre-recorded one for safety. Don't know. We'll have a look. That's what we'll be discussing this evening to see what we can do. And then what will happen is we'll hopefully show you guys. We might teach you how to make pocket pizzas.
Yeah. And if there is anything that you want, James, do just. Because you are the only one that's active on here, so
anyone who doesn't want to talk to us,
we're not massive ones for just going on and doing things for the sake of doing stuff. So if there is something that you want us to do that's DofE related, then just pop a thing in the chat. If you're watching on the YouTube channel after the fact, then put a comment because Don will see them. Because we'd like to get these so it's something that you want to see rather than what we think we could do. So if you want us to do a few weeks where we just cook different things, so Dom could have his pocket pizzas, I could show you how to make the Trangier burritos.
Could you try burritos?
Chinese.
If you guys didn't hear that from the producer, it was Chinese.
Jake likes the cooking method called the phone.
He doesn't even like Chinese that much, but he always shouts for it.
So if there is anything that you would like to see us do, us cook, whatever, we're at the point now where we can't really tell you much more about what you could be doing for physical or skill or
not for another 4 weeks, and then we can start again.
If there is stuff that you want us to do on expedition prep, on hearing about our DofE, what we did, anything about that, just what you could do at the Dolphin Centre, even if it's not DofE related, which at the moment is not much, then do get in touch.
Keep your eyes out. There might be something coming up soon where Dolphins is concerned about. Any news, of course, we'll try and get out to you as quick as we can and email you out. But from all of us at the DofE and of Adventure Dolphin, we hope you're all safe out there. Keep fun, play well, play hard, splash harder if you're kayaking, walk further. I don't know, I'm trying to make this up as I go along. Basically, guys, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you to the next one. See you later.